Thanks.
A former Newcastle star, welcome to you, and by Nicola Hawkins, independent Newcastle supporter, and Steve Wraith in the studio here, who is editor of the Fanzine, which is called Number 9. What's your view on the return of these two men?
I'm ecstatic. It should have been a lot earlier. That's the only disappointment for me. I think that they should have come out and apologised in March when all this furore hit the press to start with. I think if they'd come out a lot earlier and made that apology, I think that you know, I wouldn't be sitting here now doing this television interview.
On what basis should someone who thinks Newcastle women are dogs be put in charge of the city's football club?
My position as fanzine editor of the Number 9 is basically to express the fans' views
Is that
via the magazine. Basically, they write into the magazine, and I express my own views in the magazine as well. And a lot of the fans haven't really cared, you know, two hoots about what actually happens in the boardroom. They're more concerned about what actually happens on the pitch. I don't ever speak for the fans. I'm, you know, basically just someone who conveys their views and their issues in the letters page. And a lot of people are very disappointed that this is actually going on because it's bringing the name of the club down.
Does it bother you that they insulted the fans to such a degree?
It does. Again, as my position of editor, I've actually looked into this. I've actually read a lot of transcripts of that particular newspaper's way that they've actually dealt with this story, and I have been very disappointed. There have been a lot of things which have been blown out of all proportion.
So why are you supporting them now?
Because they're 65% shareholders of Newcastle United. There's not much chance of them ever leaving the club. They've been behind the scenes, pulling the strings over the last few months anyway. What is the point of them hiding in the background and not actually being public?
And you'll win with them. You'll win with them.
Of course, I'm not in with them, but of course,
you'll win with them.
I support them. I support them wholeheartedly.
Okay. Nicola Hawkins, if you win with these two men, what's the problem?
I don't see there's a problem. I just wish that the football side would improve as well, but I think that also you do need positivity with the board, and I don't think we've got that. What I want to know is why they didn't apologise so much earlier.
Do you regret the fact that they are sitting there on the board as of today, and they are basically still in charge of, or now going to be back in charge of running the football?
They've always been in charge. They never left the club. They've always been there. Apparently, Freddie Shepherd was involved with the Guivage deal, and that was during the World Cup. So if that happened then, allegedly at the time, he was resigned.
What do you think of Steve Wraith's point of view?
Well, I quite agree with them for saying that they're there, they've got the majority shares, but Steve Wraith changed his mind twice in the whole side of it all. Haven't you, Steve?
I haven't changed my mind at all. Basically, I've stood outside St James's Park since this incident blew up and basically backed Douglas Hall and Freddie Shepherd from the start. And, you know, I haven't changed my mind on that. I have changed my mind on different opinions, but as far as I'm concerned, I've been fully behind them. I did actually go on record when they eventually stepped down and said, well, it has been inevitable due to public pressure. But at the end of the day, you know, I've supported Freddie Shepherd and Douglas Hall throughout this.
You would actually play the Cray twins on the wing if you thought they'd score, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, that's quite an interesting one, but at the end of the day, one of them's sadly dead now, so you wouldn't actually be able to do that.
Malcolm McDonald, what's the answer to all this?
The answer very simply is that the players on the pitch have got to do it, because I think that here in Newcastle, that if there is success on the field and the kind of football that keeps people talking from one Saturday to another, then 1,000 sins can be covered up. I would like to take up with Steve that I think he's trying to form opinion and not reflect it, because I've hardly met a soul in Newcastle who feels it's right for these people to come back. And on a personal note, it is only because of their majority shareholding that they hold that which can allow them back in.
Well, what about the fact that according to Steve, you'd be more likely to win with these two characters?
They don't go out in the field and play. What they can perhaps do is, with a hands-on approach, by actually being on the board of the football club, is that they can personally involve themselves in the right kind of deals that can eventually, and hopefully in the short term, bring success on the field for Newcastle United.
Steve Wraith?
Well, I always stick with the same opinion. At the end of the day, these two men have got the financial clout to actually put into the football club. They have been part and parcel of a lot of good for the club. They've actually invested a lot of time and money in the club, and along with Sir John Hall, have brought back the good times to St James's Park. I'm sure Malcolm and Nicola can remember the old days with the old tin stand, the Gallagher end in complete disrepute, Newcastle United being an average run-of-the-mill First Division team. Now we've got a Premiership team which competes with the best in Europe, and as far as I'm concerned, that is part and parcel down to them. We want to remember the good things that Freddie Shepherd and Douglas Hall have done, not just the bad things.
Yeah.
I'd like to know why we've been the victim of, you know, press assassination last season, because not just the Douglas Hall and the Freddie Shepherd incident, the Stevenage affair, the Alan Shearer and Neil Lennon incident, Newcastle United have spent more time on the front pages than the back pages last season, and I just hope that doesn't continue this season, because it's very disheartening when you're a fan like myself.
Nicola Hawkins, it's difficult to argue against the point of view that says if you've got someone who's a centre forward, let's take Gaza for example, he plays in midfield, he scores goals, there's an argument that says if he beats his wife as well, what's the problem?
I think a player should always be a role model. And if you're someone like Gaza, Alan Shearer, you've got kids who want to emulate you. You should be a role model. Like children will want to grow up to be like you. Now, Alan Shearer is a fantastic role model for children. He's clean living. Now, Gaza, if he beats up his wife, kids might think, well, that's what I'm supposed to do. If Gaza does it, well, obviously it's right. Not wanting to have a go at Gaza or anything, but that's the example that's being used. And I just think that a player or a person in the limelight should act responsibly because people are influenced by them.
Okay, thank you all very much. Steve Wraith, Nicola Hawkins, Malcolm McDonald, thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you.